afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast. My name's Lo, he's Dives, and we have the season finale of The Bad Batch, the Star Wars show on Disney Plus. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. This is a spoiler review. We have a lot to talk about. And when this show was set up from the end of the Clone Wars up until the premise of this show was revealed, we knew we were going to get into some dark territory. And this episode got emotional. It got dark really quick. We also didn't get a chance to review last week's episode. It was a two-part episode. Last week was Return to Kamino. This was Kamino Lost. Man, I got a lot of like Dunkirk vibes, some Lost World Jurassic Park vibes, and all in the best ways, these film references I'm getting into. But what about you, Dives? What was your first impressions of this episode, and did it grab you at all?
Not as much as part one, I'll be honest. Not as much as part one. Rest in peace to Kamino, the clone's homeworld. That loss truly signals one of the many ends of the prequel era, and the next step of the journey for our clones here. We know there's a season 2 coming. I thought the animation was really, really good in this finale. Nature versus nurture. Nature versus nurture has been truly kind of the theme of these last 2 episodes, and it has really taken front. I found personally the parallel between Crosshair and Omega to be really intriguing, way more than Hunter and Crosshair over these last 2 episodes. Omega is like the one that like she wants to find a family. She wants that feeling of belonging. Whereas Crosshair, he never had that. He never had that attachment. He doesn't want anyone or anything. So I found that parallel to be really interesting. And if that's like the setup for what season 2 is going to be bringing us, there is some hope. There is some hope. Overall, the season didn't give me what I wanted, but I think there is something to look forward to.
I agree. That's very well said. I would say that, it kind of bogged down a little bit in the middle there, but overall, as a fan of what Dave Filoni brings to the table in terms of storytelling, in terms of animation, in terms of everything he's already done, The Bad Batch is a worthy successor to the Clone Wars, but at the same time, definitely not what we were expecting or what we had hoped. But this episode, I think Omega finally stood on her own 2 feet. This was that moment when Ahsoka jumped out of the plane, and in the beginning of season 7, this was that moment for Omega. She stepped up to the plate. She saved Crosshair's life. Yeah. She was taking charge, and even Crosshair had to make fun, like, so what? You guys are taking orders from a kid now? But she earned that right. She earned their respect. She earned their trust. And for once, she wasn't the whiny brat that she kind of was in some parts of the season. And I think that was a really welcome and earned development for the character of Omega. So let's jump into some memorable moments. And I noted some film references, especially with the sinking of the building and the water coming in. I felt Dunkirk. I felt the ticking clock, the room's filling up with water, and they're trying to open it. And that was some good suspense, really good tension there. And then when they're walking through the tube, when the glass started cracking, it kind of reminded me of like Lost World Jurassic Park when Julianne Moore was on the glass and it's like slowly cracking. So there's some nice little film nods there that I appreciated. What about you, Daz? What were some memorable moments for you from this episode?
You nailed it, man. You touched on Omega. Omega absolutely was the standout in this episode, which I don't think I've said before in previous episodes. It's always been someone else. And she's really grown on me over the last several episodes. I loved her motivations. I love that she's just so selfless and so heroic. Like, she is fiercely heroic, no hesitation. She will save anybody, droid, human, clone, it doesn't matter. It's unbelievable how selfless she is. And that good-hearted energy she brought in this finale, I can't deny it. It was so well done. Yes, she needs to grow up a little bit. She 100% needs to grow up a little bit, not unlike Ahsoka Tano. So as we say goodbye to the prequel series and the Clone Wars, we're now saying hello, like we did with Ahsoka and all that. That was her first introduction. Now we say Omega has arrived. Omega has officially arrived as the next kind of, I don't know, female Star Wars character that I think we're going to see in a lot of different mediums. My favorite memory was, my favorite moment of this episode involved Omega, and I think it was the droid pronounced Azzy, when the droid was losing battery, and without hesitation, she was like, no, I'm not going to save my life. I'm going to save this droid's life who I just met, and I don't care. And, you know, that kind of was like the deal breaker where Crosshair was like, okay. And that we could probably talk about that a little bit. I don't know what you think about Crosshair's motivations to save Omega, because she did just save his life moments prior. I don't know if he was doing it to just, you know, please Hunter or his family or what, but I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But that was like that heroic moment where how many times does she have to prove again and again? Meanwhile, that she is like one of the leaders of the Bad Batch. Can we officially call them the Good Batch? Like, come on. Like, they're literally part of the rebellion now. We can officially move on from the title of the Bad Batch, right? Like, is that wrong to say, Lo?
So what are we going to change the show title to the Clone Force 99 or something like that?
Yeah, I guess so.
The to speak to the Crosshair thing, because he is my favorite character. He did redeem himself a tiny bit, even though his loyalties still lie with the Empire. He said it himself. He said, consider us even. And the way that I interpreted it was that he owed his life to her in that moment, and he paid it right back by saving hers and Azzy's. So I think that was plain as simple as that. Shouts out to Azzy, though, and shouts out to the way this story was written, because we were so prepared for the demise of the Bad Batch. You and me and AJ, we were like, oh, they're dead. They're not coming back. All the clones are going to die. Not a single one died, but this was still an emotional episode. Like, I had a Big Hero 6 moment when Azzy started fading into the water. I was just like, yo, why does Star Wars and Dave Filoni in general make me feel things for droids? And like it's just like, God, this droid's gonna make me cry again. And I say again because this has happened before. Shouts out to IG-11.
I was just about to say that, man.
Like,
who did it better, IG-11 or AZ?
Well, IG-11 actually sacrificed himself, but you know, we don't want to argue the merits of what they were doing. It was both noble. Damn droids with big hearts, you know. Oh man, just waterworks, man. So with that being said, this episode ended on a fantastically exciting note. I think we kind of know where this is going, but I'm going to let you speak to it.
Ooh,
tell us about this final scene we saw with what's her name? Nala Se, the Camino, the last of Camino, the scientist.
So Nala Se is the chief medical scientist of the Kaminoans, and she's, you know, escorted to that Imperial facility where she will work with the Empire and ensure that that knowledge of cloning is with the Empire moving forward. It not only deliberately sets up The Mandalorian, but it sets up a lot of the live action films, I think, as well. So not only is this going to lead us to, you know, attempts to clone Grogu, I think it's going to lead us to attempts to clone Supreme Leader Snoke. I think it's going to lean towards cloning Palpatine. And I think all of this is 100% connected. Just like we talked about during our Mandalorian reviews. That Nala Se ending here was like, there it is. All right. Yeah. But unfortunately, we have to wait for season 2 of this. I don't even know how much Nala Se is going to even have an impact on this to begin with. But that was the connective tissue to Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and everything they're building in this giant Star Wars canon.
I 100% agree. I think that she's possibly cloning Palpatine as we speak.
Behind the scenes, they're also building the Death Star. Like, all that's behind the scenes, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So what do you expect from season 2 now that we know it is confirmed and we have end of the season? None of our beloved Clone Force 99 has perished, much to our I was worried. I was like, oh shoot, we're gonna lose somebody, but we didn't. So going forward into season 2, what are you expecting, and what do you see for for the Bad Batch's future. I mean, because we were all like, you could put money on it. We all thought they were dead. So they have new life in a new season.
Well, I mean, Fulcrum is definitely full in play here moving forward. I think we're going to see a lot of Fulcrum. And I think Crosshair, I think they did a really good job of setting Crosshair up with layers, a ton of layers as the true villain. Because this season didn't really have a main villain. Like the antagonist jumped pretty much like every 2 episodes. Even this finale didn't really have an antagonist. It was just kind of a step down and just kind of a character moment episode for mainly Hunter, Omega, and Crosshair. But Crosshair is going to be interesting because he has witnessed the destruction of Camino. How has that shaken his sense of self-worth? You look at how, Hunter reminding him that he's always going to be a number in the eyes of the Empire. You saw Omega kind of talk to him about maybe like you have to be with your family, like family first, all that. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Family first, Empire second. There was a brief moment where Crosshair was like, thinking about it. If you just like watch that final scene there in the finale. So I do think they're building that like Kylo Ren type of villain where there's pulls from both sides. And that kind of goes into what I love about Star Wars. And that's what I love about these last 2 episodes. The number one thing these last 2 episodes have brought is why I love Star Wars. It's that gray area in between what it means to be a Jedi and what it means to be a Sith. It's that gray area between what it means to be a clone versus what it means to be a droid. Like there's a real gray area about following orders, nature versus nurture, born with personality traits, and you can't do a goddamn thing about it. I love that like area, and they didn't touch on it that much in this season like I had hoped, but there is potential. There is possibilities that they're going to continue to further down that rabbit hole because they didn't really touch on it here in this final episode. Like that was the biggest reveal of the episode prior was that he got rid of his inhibitor chip and it didn't matter. And then Echo comes back in this episode and says it doesn't matter. He does have a little free will, but in the end, all clones have their own kind of personality traits, and he even still can't fight those personality traits. So it's a really interesting concept, and I just hope we deep dive further into that. Like, I'm so sick and tired of Star Wars giving us like, oh, it's all destiny, it's all inevitable, it's all like, blah, 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 blah. This is where Star Wars crushes, and I want to see more of that. Like, you don't know what could happen next.
Hey, well said. I think the Kylo Ren reference was really well said, but at the same time, I'm also getting Prince Zuko vibes because Dave Filoni did work on last Airbender, Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it's like it makes me wonder. I don't want to go back and forth too much with Crosshair, but let's just say hypothetically, I'm theorizing like if it comes down to the Empire is about to shoot down the Bad Batch, and then Crosshair gets in the way or something like that as like a noble final gesture, ode to his brothers. I think that would be something along those lines would be nice, but I just don't want him to do the seesaw back and forth. Oh, he's with us. He's not with us. Yeah. He's been with us the whole time. So that game I don't want to play, but I do like that area that you are so fond of. It makes for interesting drama for sure. How would you grade this episode, Dubs?
The episode or the series? Should we do the episode first?
Let's do both. Let's do the finale and then grade the series as a whole.
All right, I'm going to give the final episode a 7.5 out of 10. Wow. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not all about action. I'm not about I appreciate that they dumbed it down a little bit and made it about that dynamic between Omega and Crosshair. I'm hopeful. And I'm hopeful. This is like Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring shit. Like I'm hopeful that it's going to set up more dynamic characters and arcs and all that kind of stuff moving forward. The potential is there. But when you talk about the series, this is definitely a step down from Rebels, definitely a step down from the Clone Wars. I can't deny that we're wearing Yoda hats. I'm sorry. It's true. It is what it is. And that being said, I mean, Rebels season 1 wasn't that great. And we do know that season 2 is coming. And season 2 of Rebels, introduce a much bigger spoiler warning universe in Star Wars Rebels. So, and connective tissue to everything else. So, like we saw with Nella Say, maybe she's like, that's going to be our first taste of something bigger. The appetizer for the Mandalorian. I don't know. But I can't. There are so many missed opportunities in this season. I'll give the season a 6.
Wow. I think for the finale for me, I'll definitely give it like an 8.1. It was a solid episode, but definitely didn't like bring the house down like we were hoping. The animation, like you said, the water animation on their skin when it's bursting through the glass, all of that stuff looked great. The fire elements in the water and all that, and the lightning and Camino, gorgeous, top-notch animation. It's right up there with the season 7 of Clone Wars, the final one. But like you said, man, I think I was expecting a little bit more, and I'm a little bit worried. I as excited as I am to see the stories continue, I just hope that they do bring more to the table. I feel like they stretched this narrative really thin. I think the 16 episodes we got could have been 10, maybe 8. It could have been 8 even with the cameos, even with, the Hera episode. This could have been an 8-episode arc, easy. We didn't need all that extra stuff with Sid, all the extra stuff with the senator that I don't remember.
But that's a lot of buts. However, like, it was staring at them in the face, and they refused to address it, like the separatists and the clones. Like, why not use that as filler episodes, and give us more dynamic into what happened between those two? Like, there's so many things there's so much more potential this season had, and instead we have like them going off, with a bounty, completing the bounty. Wrecker does something stupid. Omega does something stupid. They rescue her, and they come back, and Sid is still an idiot. Like at the end of the day, like, it was bad writing. It was bad writing. Like, there was so much more potential where I thought this was all about the clones. It was not at all about the clones. It was all about Omega and establishing her moving forward, which I'm really excited about. But there was a little too much fan service. There was a little too much cameos, which I expect more out of Dave Filoni. I really do.
Yeah. And to your point as well, it seemed like this wasn't even as much about the Bad Batch as we thought. I thought we would dig more into the inter-team dynamics. For a lot of the episodes, Echo was just not even there. Didn't even have a line. Which was
his literally best moment of this season came in the finale, where he literally told Crosshair that, like, I don't agree with you, but I understand you. That was like the aha moment where, like, all right, so he, like, Crosshair's not in complete control of his decision making and processing and all that kind of stuff. That was
knowing that he's the last of the 501st. It's also sad that prior to that moment you're speaking of, his next best moment was him as a comic relief droid saying that the price wasn't good enough for him when he was being sold. So that says a lot about the way the season was written. So for me, that thing is just destined to come down, man. For me, I think I'll grade the season like I'll be a little bit more nice. I'll give it a 7 for the emotional beats. I did like the Baby Rancor. I liked Hera's episode, even though, it more or less didn't do much to the grand story of the Bad Batch. I loved the first episode. That knocked our socks off. That was really exciting. And I think they lost their way along the way. So hopefully season 2 of the Bad Batch just comes out guns blazing and just tells us something. I would like to see something a little bit more, for lack of better words, dynamic, a little bit more interesting than, oh, hey, let's go on a mission. Because I didn't think the Bad Batch was going to become bounty hunters. I mean, we already have a show about a bounty hunter, and we have another one coming. So I would like to see a little bit more interesting storytelling with the Bad Batch themselves. So where can people find you, Dives? And once again, what is taking place in the next 24 hours or so?
Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. August 14th, August 15th, if you're watching us live tomorrow night, Saturday and Sunday night, we'll be doing a greatest animated movies draft of all time and post-game show. It's animated movies this time. So there are so many movies to pick from. That way, we had to make it 2 nights. 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday night, live at 8 p.m. East Coast time here at the Suit Up Geek Fix channel. We're going to be doing a live draft, 10 teams on Saturday night, 10 teams on Sunday night, and I will be hosting Saturday night. My man Ryan will be hosting on Sunday night. I think Lowe's going to be doing the post-game show, and we're going to be celebrating the greatest animated movies of all time. It's a fantasy football style draft with movies, but this time they have to be animated, period. And anything could happen. We have a new guy that has the number 1 pick. My wife has the 2nd pick. She just won a draft, and she has a second number 2 pick. It's messed up. It's not okay. Anyway, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss the draft on Saturday and Sunday nights. It's going to be a ton of fun. Celebrate with us, drink with us. It's a celebration. And Lo, where can we find you, man?
Everyone can follow me on Twitter at Marcellus Durden, as well as at the Suit Up Geeks on both YouTube and Twitter. Please tune in tomorrow on this channel. And this is the final episode of The Bad Batch Season 1. No! But we have many more content and reviews coming. We have a brand new review for What If that will be premiering every Wednesday. We're still doing Monsters at Work reviews. And as we all know, we have plenty more to come in terms of Hawkeye and Book of Boba Fett. So please stay tuned on this channel. We will be reviewing all of it. For Dives and myself, we'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.